behind for once? Wow. The Ramblecast keeps spinning in my head. And just like a guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. But the Ramblecast keeps spinning in my head. It keeps spinning. But there's one thing I know. The jokes they tend to tell me make me smile. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me.
Bum, bum.
Because nothing's worrying me.
That might be your best one yet, and it fits in with our background,
which is why I chose it.
Our thumbnail. A favorite movie of Nick and I don't. Do you like the movie, Matt?
Yeah, I've seen it in the theater too.
Nice.
Oh, it's not a contest. It's just I've never heard you brag about the movie.
I think I even talked about going to see the movie with you. You just don't remember. It's okay.
Okay, hold on a second. We never went to see Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid together.
Not you and I together.
You said I even talked about we went to go see it.
Since I've been podcasting with you, and not that it's like a relationship, but it feels like it is.
It feels like yeah.
I know I've seen it
and
talk to you about it, but whatever. It's cool.
No, hey.
I like it.
Do you like it, or do you think it's great?
I think that Nick's choice of a song is a really happy song to end the Ramblecast. This is actually our last show, guys.
You're making everyone happy.
I just think it would be really kind of like an anticlimactic, sad way. It's like you have this really happy song. It's like, that's it, folks. Nothing's worrying me.
It's funny. Like when
Go ahead.
When I saw the image, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do raindrops for falling on my head." And I was like, and then I looked at last week's picture. I was like, "Oh, I should have done Putting on the Ritz." And then I actually looked up the chords for Putting on the Ritz, and holy shit, that's a lot of chord changes. I was like, "Yeah, there's no way in hell I could play that song." But I thought it'd be cute though, because I could be like playing it, and also like, "All right, Jack, I want you to say Putting on the Ramblecast," but you have to do it like the monster,
Oh, you had the what? I thought you were gonna go into the next part. What he's riding the bike.
Or yeah.
How's it go?
You talking about with
after raindrops? He drops her off, and then he starts doing the whole bike thing.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And the bull, and you know the story behind the bull. It wouldn't charge him.
Right.
So it made it work with magic, but they couldn't get the damn bull to do its job.
Just attack this person randomly.
Yeah.
We wanted you to not attack people, but now
you have to attack people.
Yeah.
But he's a famous actor. If I gorge, I'll be like lunch meat tomorrow.
Yeah, he was basically like, "Hey man, like
I should actually watch that movie. It's probably been 5 years.
It'll be Newman's Own. I'll be part of Newman's Own.
Jack, tonight as you kind of sway and sit in front of the banana, the cowboy hat kind of fits almost. If you come a little bit,
no, it's a little too close now though, because the San Diego gets in the way. But yeah,
the San Diego always gets in the way.
That's true.
They're getting killed right now. Up and down
Nothing's worrying.
They're fun. They're bad. They're fun. They're bad. Anyway,
yeah, I'm going Sunday to see the Rockies play the Orioles. Not
the Orioles.
The Royals.
Royals.
Not the Orioles. The Royals. Yeah.
If we actually took mascots and put them up against each other, the Rockies would destroy. Or
they just lay there though.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just imagining them smash like a big Hulk kind of monster. Smash.
Do the Rockies have a mascot?
I think they do.
It's like a mountain range, and it just dances around and.
No, I actually think they do actually have a mascot. I can't think of what it is. I've been to like 3 Rockies games, but the Rockies suck. I mean, I don't ever root for the Rockies. I root for every.
They're pretty bad.
It's the same as like when I lived in LA. Like I went to 9, 10 maybe Dodger games, and I always rooted for the Cardinals. I mean, I never went to to root for the Dodgers.
No, well, who would root for the Dodgers?
Yeah. Mountie.
Mascot is called Bounty.
I don't know about that.
That's Matt. Mountie.
Yeah, the mascot, the little known
Dudley.
mascot,
He's Dudley Do-Right.
Where's Chris when we need him? Yeah.
He actually got into some trouble during the Me Too movement for sexually harassing people. He has a certain move.
Maid Marian. Was it Maid Marian that was the Dudley Do-Right's the girlfriend?
Oh, that is
a dinosaur.
Not Mountie.
It's a dinosaur called Dinger.
Oh, just as
Dinger.
bad. Just as bad.
Dinger.
I think.
All right, I got it. I know Dinger's a home run.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't get the dinosaur.
No, I mean, I guess because a lot of this area has a lot of fossils. Because like where Red Rocks is in Morrison, just to the north of that is a massive,
a lot of dinosaur bones.
Yeah, tons and tons of fossils. Yeah, like just north of where Red Rocks is, there's the
Red Rock.
Stegosaurus, one with all the ridges on the back. That's where that one was found, and there's tons.
That's where they'd go to drive-in and they'd have those ribs on the Flintstones.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of old people are retired there.
Dinosaurs.
We actually have a really kick-ass drive-in here in Fort Collins.
You still have a drive-in, huh?
Yeah, it's a two screen, and when you go, you get a double feature every time. So it's pretty cool.
That was the best thing about drive-ins. The one we used to go to, I think it's the last one in San Diego. They're closing it down.
Mm-hmm.
We used to take the kids all the time, load up on candy.
Well, we still have some drive-ins around here.
During COVID, I mean, that place was hopping because it was the one place that people could go to, stay in their car, not talk to anybody. You just turn on the radio, that station, listen to the movie, and watch it. And it was
Brontosaurus burgers.
I miss the Brontosaurus burgers. They would put them up right on the side of your car there when you were watching the movie, and they would tip.
See, the problem with California, the land's too expensive to. You just can't make enough off the drive-in to.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
well, what if during the day they just held kind of like a mini, Burning Man kind of thing. It's like
you'd be burning in your car.
Well, they have swap meets on the weekends, but still.
Right. Who wants to do that?
That land's worth millions, so.
Right. You're talking about pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, that's fun. What else you guys know besides dingers?
I've been doing the BSG rewatch. I'm on season 4 right now. About part where
spoilers ahead.
Well, it's been a while.
No, I know, but I'm just letting
spoilers.
Spoilers.
Where they're looking for Earth.
Right.
Starbucks back. Is she alive? Is she not alive?
She's kind of a little crazy.
A little crazy.
Edgy.
And they're in the trash compactor thing. Whatever. And that's where I'm at. And but I noticed something that I probably have noticed before. I noticed that all the female Cylons are very attractive.
and all the males are kind of.
And all the males are not, except one. Anders. Sam.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, is Sam the one, because we never find out who designed all the 12 Cylons? Because I'm thinking Sam, he's what, 6'3", 6'4", good looking guy.
I think they hinted.
The rest are just guys.
No, I think they hinted at it in one of the. I don't remember which one it was. It was either Caprica or Blood and Chrome, or it was one of those where they hinted at that it was a group of scientists or a group of people that were real people, and they took their bodies and then made them into the human Cylon.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking Sam's probably going, okay, I'm going to design, all the women really hot, and the guys, I don't want any competition.
Right.
I'm just going to make them, these guys that just.
These guys. And one of them is going to be after Al from Quantum Leap.
Exactly. I mean, you got. I think the closest one would be what's his name, Leoben. He's okay, but he's not. He's not in Sam's league.
He's mid. at best.
Yeah, he's a mid. It's the new saying that we all have to say now. But I was going, God, I go, there isn't a flaw with any of the women.
Mm.
The guys are like, you're going, you're just, there's nothing there. I mean, could have been just the way the producers wanted to do it to make people watch.
Oh, for sure. But I like the fact that it took you this long to like kind of come to this like,
conclusion.
You know, I'm seeing something here.
I'm seeing something. Well, I did.
I've watched this show about 2 or 3 times.
Show
but
in history, though. I mean, you think Gilligan's Island? You think the women are going, "Fuck,
this is who I'm left with"?
I'm with these guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's like any sitcom, and you have like
well,
King of Queens. You had
King of Queens is a prime example.
Yeah, you had. You're like going, come on, no way.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
unless you knocked her up right out of high school, like this is there's
Ralph Crandon,
the quintessential and the what kind of, I mean, that's what Flintstones is based on.
Flintstones, you Betty, right. Well, also in the Flintstones you had Wilma and Betty, Barney and Fred.
Yep.
Come on, what's going on there?
It was a throuple. We all know. Another thing we have to say nowadays, thanks woke PC. But
yes.
Anyway, there is kind of like this interesting archetypal tree of sitcom, and like, the family, the family unit, or even like just the idea of the sitcom core unit, and this idea of the Ralph Cramden and the, Norton, and like that whole that whole thing, and how it leads to Flintstones, but also like you see elements of Flintstones influencing, Simpsons, and, it just kind of, these different things kind of repeat, or, it's like, Friends, it's like, well, then there's How I Met Your Mother, and then there's New Girl, it's like, they're just kind of iterations of that kind of, but girl? But Friends is also kind of like just a more attractive Seinfeld.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so you have this kind of interesting, but then you can go all the way back to the workplace ones in the 70s, which got really popular with,
what I liked about the 90s and on sitcoms was I always thought it was weird that no one really pointed this out or noticed it. Was, like in the 60s and 70s and even to the 80s, aside from the Cosby Show, you always had like a strong male figure, and everyone else is just a dumbass. And then in the 90s, it flipped to where like the wife was like the strong, smart character, and the husband was just some fat dumbass that was lucky to have her. But what I liked with Friends and Seinfeld and everything that's come since, it was more of an ensemble.
Right.
You have one smart guy, one dumbass guy, one funny guy, one smart woman, one beautiful, like airheaded, but you had a good array of people, right? So I liked that aspect of it.
And The Office taking the workplace thing and bringing in that Friends atmosphere, but really what it does is it puts the crazy person at the center. Like Michael Scott is the crazy uncle, he's the crazy dad, he's right in the middle, and that's he's kind of creates a good nucleus, but it is an ensemble thing, kind of moving forward with and even Lost, really. Like, I mean, even though we're talking about comedies, it's always good to talk about Lost. So
keep your opinions to yourself, Randy.
It's funny. I did a TikTok live last Saturday, and I
did you get any talks?
I at first I was about ready to shut off because I'm like going, okay, I'm not getting anything, and all of a sudden it just blew up.
Ooh.
And I did my top 10 dramas of the 21st century, and a couple of them started in
a lot of good ones
in the 20th century, and it was hard, and I left, and I have Lost at number 2.
What, you're talking about sitcoms, right? You're talking about your shows, right?
Dramas,
just dramas of shows.
Did you put West Wing 1?
No, I have it was Deadwood, number 1, Lost.
Oh, really?
You got Sopranos in Breaking Bad, Sopranos was 4. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
I mean, you did it for the TikToks. You can't do it for us. You're making these top 10 lists.
All right, hold on a second. I'll get it. Jesus.
Number 3 was
Christ.
Manifest.
Manifest, absolutely.
Yeah, Manifest was actually some people
Absolutely.
were.
Thanks, Treest.
Where's Manifest? I go, no, I didn't put Manifest. That's a pile of crap show.
It is. It's definitely
it's not cracking the top.
It's definitely bottom of the barrel.
It's
okay. So here's the list.
right
it's,
next to San Andreas.
I
It's
have
like
ESG, West Wing.
I was wondering where your West Wing ran. You know, like since you put Lost at number 2.
Better Call Saul.
Ooh, man,
Game of Thrones, and Mindhunters.
Now
I left off Justified, which is one of my favorites. If I'm gonna, and
but
part
it's
of
Justified.
part of my criteria is that the reason I put these shows on there. I've seen them twice.
Yeah,
I've watched them twice. Well, people right away are going, "Where's The Wire?" I go, The Wire's a great show. I go, but I've only seen it once. Again, I have to see it twice. And it just, where's The Wire? And then people kept going, BSG question mark. I go, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica. I go, maybe I should have spelled out. And some people, no, they're just stupid. You don't have to spell it out for them.
I think like there's a lot. I mean, it could be also, there's some shows that because anything has a sci-fi fantasy element to it, they don't think of them as dramas.
Right.
Even though it's one of those things, you could argue BSG, you could argue that Star Trek, you could argue a lot of those shows aren't dramas, but they are.
Right.
Well, some people like Lost on the list.
Yeah.
Some people like Lost is a pile of crap. I go, it was, the ending was terrible. I go, hey, I'm not gonna argue either. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I go, it's just on there. And I said, I did a podcast about Lost. My son and I got really close. I go, that's why it's on my list. They go, okay, we understand that.
It irks me too when I see that stuff on Facebook or wherever, people like knocking Lost. I'm like, did you watch Lost as it aired,
or are you just getting this?
Yeah,
like,
you're just on the bandwagon of hate. But
kind of like The Acolyte.
You have to. You have to. I mean, you have to thank Lost. I mean, there's so many things that Lost did for every show after it.
Yeah, I said that's why I said on it. I said because I was explaining myself, and then people, because the list I made was too big, so I couldn't be in the screen. So I was off the side of the screen. They go, "Well, you're just probably some young guy that hasn't seen a lot of shows." I go, yeah, I'm really young. I go, I'm almost 62. I go, I've seen a lot of, and people are going, "What about Band of Brothers?" I go,
definitely on the top.
I've seen the invention of TV.
That's one of those things, though, where, like, to me, Band of Brothers is either you call it a mini series or a limited series or whatever, but like it's not an actual.
Well, that's what I said. I said, I go, Band of Brothers is one of my favorite pieces of television of all time. I go, but to me, it's a mini series.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
people go, what about Dexter? I go, well, let me tell you my thoughts on Dexter. I go, Dexter is the reason I can now stop. If I don't like if I like a show and I'm watching it, but I get tired of it, I go, I'm Dextering it. Because I should have learned with Dexter. The final season, not the one they had recently, was so bad. And
when people crap on Lost and their ending, like season 6 is still strong, guys. Like, people say that it lost its, like that it's not, but shows like Dexter, it's like, no, there's a shelf of plot writing, tone, like that just occurs with
Dexter, I said on the thing, I said Dexter had a great premise. The dad's trying to keep, I go, but then you start thinking, did the dad push him into this? Would he have been a serial killer? Would he have had those tendencies? But the dad, because you don't know. Sure, he's killing pets, but he just.
It's one of those to me that, like, exactly, because if you went off of Heroes season 1 and that's it, or if you went off Dexter seasons 1 through 3, 4, the baby season, if you just went on those, you're like, definitely badass. But you have to judge a show by its whole thing. And it's the same as like with Ted Lasso, which I think season 1 and 2 are excellent. And the third season just teeters off a bit. You even look at The Bear right now. It's debatable.
No, I'll just agree to disagree on Ted Lasso.
I love Ted Lasso. I loved all 3 seasons.
But then, like, even The Bear, I think The Bear is suffering from the same thing Ted Lasso did, in my opinion, in that, they're kind of like this third season, even though it starts off rock solid, it kind of
just kind of meandered a little bit.
Well, I think, but I just finished the 5th episode, and I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I finished the whole.
You finished the whole thing?
Yeah.
I was rolling last night. John Sienna was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
You don't expect him to be funny,
right?
And he was so funny in it, and I'm like going. I just thought it got back to its kind of roots. I think the problem is it was so, you had the first episode where there's hardly any dialogue. Then you have the second episode where you.
But that's what I liked about episode 1.
Excuse me, Chef. I'm just going to step out here for a sec.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I didn't know you hadn't seen it, Matt. You hadn't seen it.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I'm not caught up. I've had
yeah,
guests in and stuff.
Sorry for everyone out there. We're gonna talk about the bear for just not spoilers, but like one of the things I loved about episode 1 was it was almost like a silent film. You see so much just visually that I was like, this is great. And then the second episode comes in with like a fuck you, no fuck you, and it was
because you had put in our text, hey, it's you have to take a shot every time they say the F word.
Yeah,
I'm like going, Jesus Christ, I can't drink that much.
No,
it was
you can't.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Everyone that came in was fuck you,
fuck you.
I think what they were trying to do. The first episode obviously is setting up the season, and I really thought the third and fourth episode were okay, all right, the pressure, opening up the restaurant and stuff like that, and what had happened. But the 5th episode was hilarious. Now I haven't seen the rest, obviously, but
no, it's a good season. I just don't think compared to season 1 and 2, it doesn't. I think like if you put like season 1 at a 9 and season 2 at a 10, or opposite of those things, I think this comes in like an 8 or a 7. It's still good. It's just not at that level. There's some episodes that are really good, and there's some you're kind of like, oh, okay. And I think that because I know that season 3 and 4 shot back to back, that I think you will watch season 3 and 4 as one season, and I think it's leading to. This is because it's a theory, but I think what this is leading to is kind of like how in season 2 he sent off the chefs to his mentors to learn from, to bring out the best in themselves. I think this season is a prelude to Carmi's own internal scarring of like every chef, every person you work with, every single person that you've worked for leaves their fingerprint or their imprint on you. And this was kind of setting up a way to him to reevaluate himself and like what he's doing to his staff, and so I'm not sure if that's 100% right, but I think that's what it feels like to me, is that this is building to a mea culpa in season 4.
Well, I said last week, I'm pretty sure I said last week, there's no way I could do that kind of job.
No, hell no.
Just too much pressure. But anyway, Matt, you can come back. But yeah, going back to like Dexter, I think Matt Tree says Dexter also had a textbook case of a show where any subplot that didn't involve the main character sucked. Yeah. I think so. I think so. But
the fourth season was so strong, and the 5th season wasn't
bad.
It wasn't bad, but that was really the 4th season was kind of almost like its watershed high moment, and then the rest of the show just keeps.
Well, when he had to start killing people that weren't really bad people, that's where it kind of went, okay, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, like you're breaking your own.
You're breaking the code, and it's just so you won't have to go to jail, which I get.
The suspense of him getting caught, I think, throughout the first season and stuff like that, like that really kind of it really ratchets up that tension, which was great for the show. But yeah, overall, it feels like by the time you get to the end, it's like orange juice, right? You start off at the beginning with a lot of high pulp. You're like, man, this is good stuff. It's not too chunky, just the right amount.
It's perfect, man.
It's perfect, man. And then somebody comes in with the 4th season. You're like, wow, did you add papaya to this? Or like, what did you do? This doesn't even taste better. And then by the time you get to the end, it's just watered down.
People put papaya in their orange juice?
I don't know. I'm just throwing out a fruit.
I thought mango.
Sweetener.
Yeah. I'm just saying that there was another fruit added and it worked, but then at some point they just went to the well too many times, and then now you're just getting watered down, concentrated, frozen shit.
Plus his hot wife dies.
Yeah. Which it's like the same thing as like what I said about
you guys in your hot wives is like, well, the cute Japanese girl's gone, so I guess I
that's
can't
what
watch
Jack
this
said.
show.
I didn't say that. We all thought it. He's the one that said.
I said, well, I knew you. Guys
Well,
would
I think
it.
it's pretty
Someone had to say-
presumptuous for you to say that we all thought.
Actually, I think every single woman on Shogun was smoking hot. So
yeah, we're not wrong. But no, but people are like also they were going, "Where's Sons of Anarchy?" I go, "Well, let me tell you, my Sons of Anarchy. I got so tired of the final season.
Got wrapped up actually in a biker gang.
In a gang.
Yeah. No, I thought the final season because remember they extended the episodes. They were like an hour and a half, hour and 45. And it's like they weren't
the movie Wild Hogs. Yeah, that was based on Jack's.
I do, I do think that there is something about as we've moved to streaming, right? Like we're in the era of streaming, where directors almost have a carte blanche. We don't have act breaks for commercials all the time. Sometimes they're there, but sometimes they're not there. They just chop it wherever and throw a commercial in there. But really, they start to expand it. And when all of a sudden episodes get to an hour and 15 minutes, you're like, okay, this better be fucking good. Okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it better hold my attention for an hour and 15 or I'm getting up and walking away. Cause the sweet spot of that hour or less, for a show to keep your attention, and then you can go do something else and you're not wasting your day away. There's something to be said about the editing or cutting out some of that fat. Now, I do love that Peacock has the Office Superfan episodes where if you've watched The Office so many times, it's almost kind of like a fun game when you watch those because you're like, wait, that's a new part, And so I like that they have enough content that they can kind of go through and do that with the show. So if shows wanted to do that with some of these extras, or you want to watch the extended one on Netflix, but here you go. Here's the, anyway, this is my own, I think there's a sweet spot with editing
plus,
at times.
Sons of Anarchy killed off a character I didn't think deserved to die.
That's the same as Walking Dead. Like,
that's another show.
You run that risk of.
I know Sherry, who's not. I don't think she
hasn't made her appearance yet.
Yeah, but I know she's enjoyed Walking Dead, and she's encouraged Jack and I to continue on with the show, even though we both stopped podcasting about it and just kind of. But that was kind of another moment where like the death of a character really kind of disrupted the show, and it was kind of like, do you want to keep going with this?
Well, it also got to the point where your podcast. I don't want to podcast about something I don't like.
We began hate podcasting.
Then, you hate it. You start hating it.
I mean, when Glenn got stuck under the dumpster, and we're like going, okay, there was no way he was getting out of this.
Yeah,
and they never explained how he got out of it.
It also just became
they just got bored and walked off.
I couldn't rewatch it to write notes about it.
Yeah.
I could only watch it and then
because you would do half, I would do half, right?
Because it became kind of just a struggle to kind of review the show, or to kind of do a walkthrough.
And they really and some of the parts were obviously they were dragging out. Who's the guy with the baseball bat with the
Negan?
Negan.
Well,
there were plenty of times they could have killed him.
Right.
And they didn't. And you're
it just all felt like filler,
Yeah.
Because I said that I learned afterwards, because I loved season 1. I thought season 1 was great. And then season 2, you could literally watch the first episode, the mid-season finale, and the finale, and you're good. You don't have to watch any of the rest of season 2. And I found out later it's because AMC put all of Walking Dead's budget into Mad Men because it was Mad Men's last season.
Right.
So that's why season 2 is so all on the farm, and that's it. And so that automatically kind of made me go, maybe it's not going to be that good. And then when you get into the governor, and you're like, okay.
Right. And
then all of a sudden you get Negan. Negan to me just seemed like the governor on crack. And I was like, this is the same shit. Like, I don't want to keep watching the same crap where they get into a stupid situation and then it just got boring.
I feel like there is a moment. I know it must happen in the show at some point. And I'm not aware of it because I haven't watched Beyond, but there is an element of the government that's still surviving, and I feel like they needed to pull that trigger sooner. We needed to get to that. Like you'd see a helicopter in one episode, and you're like, as Matt Treese put us, they breadcrumbed us, to death.
Yeah, yes.
And
that is a great term.
I think Sherry mentioned it maybe in the chat one time about how like there were like these stormtrooper outfit kind of, troopers at some point. And it's like, I would have liked to have gotten that sooner, or at least gotten a part of it.
Well, it was making so much money. They had to stretch it out. And that's what hurts. It kills the momentum of the show.
It's like with House of the Dragon. To me, that should have been 2 seasons only. And they've already said, they're going to have a 3rd season now. And House of the Dragon is that time period in the Targaryen history is really neat, but it's 2 novellas.
It's so folksy.
So yeah, but there is the book, Fire, whatever it's called. But it's like basically it's a history book of the Targaryens. But
it's
that's
called
just
crack and cocaine.
It's like Fire and Blood. I think. So, it's Fire and Blood. And it's a history book, but a history book just tells facts. It doesn't really give you a story, and so it's but the meat of the show is coming from these 2 novellas called The Rogue Prince and The Princess and the Queen, and they got through all of the Rogue Prince and half of the Princess and the Queen in season 1. And so I was like, oh, okay. It's like, they're just going to show like the battles and all the dragons dying and like all these great, dragon fights midair. Then it'll be a kick-ass season 2 and that'll be it. And then they'll move on to another part of Targaryen history, which would be cool. But no, like they're like, oh no, like, this is we're going to milk it. So, and if you watch, the first 3 episodes or 4, whatever we're into now with House of Dragon, it's like, it's just a snail's fucking pace. And you're just like, Jesus. I mean, it's still interesting, but it could be a lot better.
That's why I like to watch shows I know I like.
Yeah.
I like to watch
because it's been a while since it's probably been about 3 years since I did a BSG rewatch. And it's funny. It's like, I forgot. Oh, yes, this was what happens. That's right. This happened. Right. Oh, this happens already. I was like, okay, yeah, okay. This, you forget the timeline. It happens. I go, oh, that's right. You got this coming up here, and it's like
a show. I think I'm going to rewatch because I haven't watched it in close to 20 years. And the reason why is because I just finished The Gentleman that Chris had watched because I wanted to.
I started watching that.
It's actually pretty good. I give it a solid 8.3 out of 10.
That's on Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah, I love the Guy Ritchie vibe with it, and I think I was like 2 episodes in, and then
I mean, to me, if you're a Guy Ritchie fan and if you like Lock, Stock, and you like Snatch, and you like The Gentleman, you're gonna like this show. It's basically a combination of those.
The Gentleman is this show.
It is, but like,
okay,
but like they've added things to it from the movie, and because there's definitely things like with the shotgun, and there's things like you'll see pikeys in it, so you're like, oh, okay, they're bringing in elements of the Guy Ritchie world, But it's good. I enjoyed it, but there's a term that's used in some episode, just you've crossed the Rubicon, and I just kind of went, oh man, I should watch fucking Rome. And I was like, because I haven't watched Rome since it came on. I thought
you were going to say, I need to watch Rubicon. Figure out how that ended.
You should really watch
AMC one season.
You should really watch our commercial break.
Oh, well, shit, Jack. Okay. But yeah, it's just because I haven't watched Rome since 2004, 2005 when it ended. And
I did a Rome rewatch about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I watched it like 3 or 4 times all the way through. It's only 2 seasons, right?
It's only 2 seasons, yeah, because they couldn't. They wanted to make more, but the budget was just too much.
The problem is that they really rushed the last season. Like the last few episodes, they just kind of we're wrapped up.
Speaking of rewatches,
still good though.
I've been slowly watching Doctor Who with my kids, so. And we're on season. Season 8 now. We just.
Did you start from the original, or did you start with like the Stephen Moffat on?
Yeah, you got to start with the more recent, the
2005 on.
Okay. Yeah, like. I mean, I will put on. I will put on.
In the 60s, right?
In the 60s,
I will. Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Jack was asking a question. I was like, yes, it started in the 60s. Sorry.
Yeah. Like 63, I want to say. or 62, but I think it's 63. Anyway, I'll put on classic episodes like kind of in the background with my son, like if we're down in the basement and he's on the computer and I'm doing shit. But collectively we've been going through the more recent Doctor Who, and we just got to season 8, I believe. The Peter what is his
Pedophile?
No.
Peter Pettigrew.
No,
That's Harry
yeah,
Potter.
that's what I want to say. Yeah, that's
Peter Piper.
Sherry would know. So
Matt Tree should know.
I'm just trying. I blank on his name. There's actually several Peters within the Doctor Who.
Oh, Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, Capaldi.
Capaldi.
Yeah. So so we've been rewatching that, and just like Jack said, even though I've seen these episodes, some of them I haven't seen for like 10 years. So when they're happening, I'm like, wait, there's something about this. And, and it's like, it kind of unfolds again. So it is kind of nice watching a show that you enjoy, or rewatching it to find like these little nuances. And it's always kind of fun too, to experience that excitement with my kids, because they try to stay spoiler free. Keeping with the Doctor Who theme for one moment, there is a large, I guess it's the largest North American Who collectible museum and store in North America, right near where I live. Like it's about, it's still about 40 minutes away.
Doctor Who?
But it's all Doctor Who themed, and we went there because we just got to the 12th Doctor, I believe. So we were kind of like, oh, now because my daughter didn't want to be spoiled on anything. My son's kind of like, he's just like, whatever, let's just jump in. So
okay, go ahead.
They had an amazing collection, like just enormous. Like you walk in, and one side is the museum, and they just have these cases just filled full of like action figures I never knew existed. Like this is all like tons of stuff from England, obviously, and they had props, they had all sorts of just fan-made stuff that they had, and they even have a pinball game in the back that's for free, which was really cool. Like most things aren't for free, but if you go there you can play it. It is not in Whoville. It's actually in a place called Mooresville, Indiana, which seems like the most unlikely place for a Who museum. But and then the other part of the shop, which is, I believe, how they maintain their business, because I think they must sell online or what have you. But they have an enormous amount of books and CDs, audio books, DVDs, costumes. Sure. Yeah, like they have the jacket. You want a jacket? They have, and I was expecting them to just be like, oh yeah, we just have small and XXXL, but they actually had like a range. I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive.
Did they have dolphin paper?
No, they didn't have dolphin paper.
You can't kill dolphins anymore.
But but they did have from that season of Doctor Who, the 2005 one. I think her name's Cassandra, but she's the stretched out piece of skin that's the last human, and she's like just a stretched out skin of a person. She talks real freaky. They have a prop of that there too, even just kind of like hanging. It's like, so it was pretty cool. So they have a TARDIS even. They had like a full, you walk in and there it is, and they have a Dalek right there that talks to you.
Is it massive? Like when you walk in the
I wish that you could. I think it would be clever if they had put the TARDIS on the front so that you walked in and then
in the store,
big, and then it was big on the inside.
Yeah.
But
that sounds like a very good like Comic-Con.
TARDIS is a traveling thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the police box. Yeah,
police box.
That actually sounds like a really good idea for like a speakeasy at Comic-Con, like where it's just the TARDIS outside, and then when you walk into it, you go downstairs or something, and it's
you walk in and then
it
expands out.
The geeks would be happy about that. My question was, because I've only watched one episode, and Cindy didn't like it. She wanted to watch it. I know there's been several different Doctor Who's. There's been how do they? Is it just like James Bond? They just start up and there's a new Doctor Who?
No, they actually connect it so they regenerate. So it's part of it's probably it's probably one of the most inventive and ingenious things that they did in the 60s when the first Doctor left, is that they decided we're just going to keep this going and have him regenerate into a new form.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't show it on screen when the first to the second changed. And then over the years, they started working better and better on the special effects to get how the Doctor actually changes into another form.
Okay.
But in doing so, they kind of created this thing that could continue to go on, because you could always hire another actor, and then he always has a companion. So the companions can come and go. They can die. They can, fall in love. In the classic Doctor Who, the Doctor and the companion, there's no snogging going on. They're definitely like not in a relationship. They don't.
It's not a James Bond type thing.
He's not a kiss and tell kind of guy. He's just the Doctor, right?
He's just the Doctor.
But the companions would fall in love or have relationships. One of the, with the 2005 Doctor Who, you have all of a sudden the fact that there is sexual tension between the Doctor and the companion, and that's something that's uniquely about the more current. Now, if there's some Who fans out there that are just going to be like, fucking Matt didn't remember that in the fifth Doctor he basically had sex with one of the companions and had a Doctor baby. I'm sorry that I don't know that information, but for the most part, 99.9% of the Doctor Who from the classic, there's nothing. There's no.
Where can you find Doctor Who?
So Doctor Who is on BritBox. If you have Roku, it has BritBox, which it does cost.
We don't have BritBox anymore.
That's classic. That's classic. But if you have Max, then you can watch the 2005 Doctor Who.
Right.
Now Disney owns Doctor Who now, because the mouse just has an inception.
So they're gonna fuck it. They're gonna fuck it up.
They already have.
Well, that's yet to be seen, because I haven't watched the current.
Oh, they're already on.
Yeah, they're already.
Yeah. What is does he solve crimes? Is that he goes back in time and solves crimes?
No, it's not always about solving crime.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's like a mystery involved, and even in the different Doctor Who's, you have it almost kind of represents kind of pop culture, what pop culture is into at the time. So in the early 70s, there was a lot of monster stuff. So there was kind of more of a Monster of a Week kind of vibe, and then there was a showrunner change. And of course, the different writers got involved. And then, they would have different storylines with like Daleks, or they would have different, classic, basically, villains that had been, like Cybermen, or, the Zygons, or anyway. So sometimes he'll stumble into a setting, basically, and a classic Doctor Who scenario is the Doctor and the companion get separated somehow, and the companion ends up with basically the militant group, and the Doctor is with like the hierarchy civilization, and they're at war. There's a war going on, and the rebellious people are trying to overtake the monarchy.
If they're separated, they can't have sex.
That's true. That's true. But typically they would separate them apart, and they would come back together, and they would.
That's why he has his wand.
To figure out.
It's a
classic
toy.
The classic episodes were only like 20 minutes long, so they're kind of like potato chips. You could just kind of, and they would have arcs that lasted 4 episodes.
And they only have so many episodes per season, since it's a British show, right?
Well, so yeah, the older ones actually have more episodes per season, because they would have like a 4-part episode arc. The current ones basically are just like more of like a 45-minute, classic hour, episode of TV, unless you get a Christmas special thrown in there, which they like to go longer. With the current run of Doctor Who, they like to do 2-episode arcs, because basically that's essentially like a movie kind of thing. So, but they would only release in Britain, I believe, or in England, they would only do like 3 episodes, and then there'd be kind of a break, and then there'd be another 3 episodes, and then there'd be a break. So they'd have a 12-episode season, but it would be kind of doled out throughout the year. And then finally the US people would be able to watch it, us local.
Because that was something people asked too. They would go, "Where's Doctor Who?" I go, "Well, okay, I've never watched it." "You haven't watched Doctor Who?" "No, I haven't watched Doctor Who." Then they would say Spartacus. I go, "I'll be honest, I forgot about Spartacus, and I forgot about I've loved both shows. I've done several rewatches on them. I just forgot." I mean, it's hard to put a top 10 dramas in just the last 24 years. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
And over the people are saying, "What about?" I go, "Yeah, those shows are great, but they were in the
Well, that's what's hard about, because to me, roughly 2000, just like past 2000, TV really changed to more TV. TV is more of a movie type format now,
and Lost did that.
Yeah, and Lost did that exactly, and so did The Sopranos in a way. But that's what I'm saying. Like you can't judge a comedy series today on like the 70s or the 80s, because they're two completely different things. Because you're doing 36 episodes per year. That's 3 seasons, almost 4 seasons for a show today.
Star Trek was 36 episodes per season. It was only on for 3 years.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
And as Chris doesn't know, it's never been off the air.
We actually have an email about that, but I'll wait until Chris gets back. So Jack, Matt, I'm sure will say something about this as well. Like I want to say it's 2007. If you want to watch one episode of Doctor Who that will kind of like be the top 3 episodes of all time,
it'd be like the 33 of BSG.
Yeah,
but it's not a pilot. It's not a pilot, but it stands alone.
It's a standalone episode.
I know which one you're talking about.
It's called Blink. It's one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever made. And it'll keep you just gripped the entire episode.
Blink or wink? Because
blink as in blink your eyes.
Blink, yeah. There's Blink, and then I think there's Don't Blink. But the episode Blink is really good, and it introduces a new villain, basically, of kind of like this modern kind of era of Doctor Who.
I gotta watch it. I jokingly said one time, I said, I want to make sure it's not going to just be canceled.
I mean, Christopher Eccleston is a really good introduction Doctor. I mean, he walked away from it and kind of got overwhelmed by the fandom of Doctor Who. I mean, he just really stepped into
this. Gone for so long.
Yeah, but and then it was interesting to me through my kids. Like they both liked him. They thought he was funny. They thought he was charming. They liked him as a person. It's hard for me because I just see his character from Snatch or what have you. It's like I see the kind of the hard ass that he could be, and so I'm like and the transitions from him to the next one, and Rose, the relationship with Rose, she is a really good actress. Like she emotes so much, and when I rewatched those seasons with Rose and her character, like I really think she brought a certain emotional like impact. Like when you watch it, like she almost draws it out of you with how her acting, and I think it's really top notch actually, because you feel for her character. The Donna Noble companion, who is played by a comedian, and I'm gonna forget her name, but her from The Office. She came in and she is
Nellie.
Nellie, yeah, she's Nellie from the. She when she first appears, you're kind of like, what? But when she becomes the Doctor's companion, she is so funny. And like she brings something to that show that it needed. And I think there are definitely highs and lows within Doctor Who. It's like I can love a Doctor and it can have a bad season. And so Matt Smith, though I love him as the Doctor, there was one season where it just kind of the whole season arc doesn't hit for me. And that is something that kind of stays true in the modern era of Doctor Who, is that there's a whole season arc. There's a whole season theme. There's a bigger kind of framework picture for each season as you go. So it really has its own tone and kind of larger mystery, which is cool for the Lostian, right? The old Doctor Who really didn't do that. They would have a 4-episode arc But there's only one season in the classic Doctor Who where they said, okay, this whole season, we're going to have this big storyline, and the Doctor is going to get these keys of time. And by the end of the entire show, you'll see him get all of these pieces together, and then he'll have this kind of, revealing, or this, something big will happen.
Right.
That's the only time in classic Who that they did kind of and again, if there's any big Whovians out there that are going to come at me, like, I'm here for it.
Is that what they call them, Whovians?
I don't know.
If you do start watching, Jack, you'll also recognize a lot of famous British actors that are in Doctor Who. They'll either make guest appearances, or some got their break from being in Doctor Who.
Well, they probably want to be in it too. I mean, it's one of those shows.
I think I like that Sherry wrote Wink.
Wink,
so she put sorry, I meant to type Blink, but I think that there would
that's
be.
Why
really
I said I go.
like,
that's why I said, do you mean Wink?
Wink.
No, you said no, Blink. I said,
yeah. Like,
so Sherry on that one.
Like from Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers, the girl that's all blue, the Nebula.
Right.
She's one of the companions. Her name's Karen Gillian or Gillian.
Yes.
That's where she got her start.
She was also in Selfie.
I haven't seen that one. But she was also in the new Jumanji movies. She's in that.
Yeah.
What's funny about Selfie, I hated it at first. And then when I started to like it, they canceled it.
Her character, and it's another great, Nick, I'm glad you mentioned her, because you really see the fact that who she plays, Nebula, in Guardians of the Galaxy, and her voice and her tone, her demeanor, and of course she has makeup, but she becomes a completely different person, and it's hard to see. Every now and then I can hear it.
She becomes an actress.
Yeah.
She becomes an actress. No, one of the companions, that Amy Pond. Yeah. So, but anyway, I don't want to bore.
Did you ever get the Lego, the Doctor Who Lego?
I did, and I bought it. I bought it like a couple years ago on StockX, and I think I paid like $100 for the set, and I just checked, and
it's ridiculous.
It's insane. I'm like, holy cow! And the funny thing is right now,
is it worth a lot more now?
Well, they only made it for like 2 years, back in like 2015 or 16, somewhere in there. And it's really just the TARDIS, and then it has like a little base area, but it comes with one of the weeping characters. It comes with 2 doctors, a companion, and then like some of the
2 Daleks.
2 Daleks, yeah. Like it comes with
I think 2 angels.
And
2 angels
in the pear tree.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of stuff. It's neat.
It comes with, but it's not a big set. But it was funny because it's right now. It just so happens that on our table we have a table that we kind of put our Lego creations on, and we kind of try to keep it a little bit kind of clean up there. It's like, okay, you can have 1 or 2, but we're not going crazy, kids.
There's some rules, man.
So I have the
knife fight.
I have the Notre Dame set up there that I built, and my son had brought up the Doctor Who set because we were watching it the other day, and he brought it up, and it's set right next to Notre Dame, and we had Daleks kind of all lined up around it or whatever. Yeah. And I looked up the price, and I was like, hey, I was like, see those 2 sets? They go for about the same amount of money. And like you look at the Notre Dame set, and it's huge. It's got a ton of pieces.
That's what blows me away about some of those Lego sets. I would say.
Yeah, some of it did burn, but not on the set.
Like some of those niche sets, they only make them for like a year or two. Like the Tron set, there's a few, even the Yellow Submarine. Like there's some that were only out for maybe even a year, and you're like, wow, like I need to get this now.
I picked up an extra Yellow Submarine just the Beetle Lego collector in me. I was like, what's up?
You all live there?
We do.
We all do live there. Yeah. The only thing I regret that Lego didn't do is they didn't make a blue meanie. I wish they would have made a blue meanie.
That would have been,
and then it would have been perfect. But,
that would have been good to go with it. But you can use other Legos and use your imagination, Nick.
That's true. Imagination.
I was watching. Speaking of the Beatles, I was watching YouTube. It was George Harrison, and they were talking about John Lennon, and the guy goes. He goes, John Lennon said that he thought that you didn't really thank him very much, or his praise and all this different stuff. And he goes, well, about certain songs, he goes, well, I put 3 lines in this song and 2 lines in this song. He goes, he says, well, he's dead. I can't tell him now. It's just like
Mm.
you can see that he was like, that because there was times that he got upset when obviously this that John and both John and Paul would tell him how to play the guitar.
Mm.
Yeah, they ignored him. Yeah, they thought of him as a kid.
And he was.
Yeah.
But he may have been.
He was the only proper musician, I think, of the Beatles. Like Paul had a very good upbringing with a musical family. John taught himself, and Ringo.
But Paul didn't even know how to read music.
Yeah,
either.
but like you listen to certain things with Paul. Like Paul will talk about how his dad would, play in beer halls, and he would sit and listen to other musicians, and he said that he kind of just figured out like, oh, people like these chords, and like he just from growing up around it was like, oh, I can kind of figure this out. But George actually practiced. He actually became a musician, and that's why I always laugh about George, like when he would put himself down because he was not Eric Clapton, and I don't think he ever realized just how George's solos are melodic, and you can almost hum or whistle all of George's solos or what he contributed to Beatles songs because they're just as important as everything Paul or John did.
He just got overshadowed.
Yeah, he got overshadowed. Yeah, but he was also, like I said, he was only about 6 months younger than Paul, but he was the youngest of the Beatles.
But he was also quiet. He was quiet though.
He was. Yeah. Well, he was. But compared to two very large personalities,
Right,
George to me had the most to say, I think, of all four of them. That's arguable. I mean, it's debatable, but like George to me had some of the most in-depth thoughts of all four of them.
I mean, John,
I'm biased. I'm a George guy, but
yeah. Well, and just to like, John had that fiery temper. He had such a tumultuous upbringing that it comes through in his. It's amazing that someone that has such a, I feel like John has such a well of anger inside of him.
Yeah,
for someone who preached peace.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he also, I think, in some ways, he was trying to tame that. He was trying to control that. He was trying to. He went through primal scream therapy.
Right.
He, did all of these drugs, trying to suppress his emotions, and dealt with the death of his mom, and like all of these, like, they're fascinating. As far as
plus
they're also people.
Paul who loved to work, loved to tour, loved to, and you had John who didn't want to. He hated to tour. He hated.
Well, I think they all liked it. They knew it was part of it. But when people start shooting bullets or pistols at your plane in the Philippines, you kind of go, "Yeah, okay, I'm kind of done with this."
Right? Yeah, because they're just people. I mean, now they're kind of icons, and it's hard to kind of imagine them as such. But they're flawed. They're not gods.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's flawed, except Gaius Baltar.
That to me is one of the things that makes the Beatles. Yeah, he is. That's one of the things that makes the Beatles really special. Because like Matt was saying, like John, I felt John's music was very therapeutic. It was him trying to process a thought or where he's at in his life, and I can put this out, as like, hey, here's the thought of me, of like where I'm at. Maybe you're here too. Paul always just was melodic. People, it's, I understand why people are John people or George people or Paul people, like, but Paul to me,
I'm a Beatles person.
Yeah, but like there's a good mixture there.
I'm a Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yes.
But like,
I even like Pete best.
But you can see where George, especially as he's really starting to write good songs, where he is copying John. Because like you look at John around 67, when he's literally just reading a newspaper or any title, and he goes, "Oh, I want to write a song like that," Mr. Kite or Strawberry Fields or things. He's just like looking at a title and going, "Oh, I'm going to write a song about that." And then you see by 68, George is doing that with "While My Guitar Gently Weeps" and "Here Comes the Sun," and he's literally just kind of going, "Oh, there's an interesting line. I'll just write a song about it." And Paul didn't do that. Paul just did his own thing.
Well, you think George did that so he would get some attention?
No, I think it was just a clever way of
writing.
It's
also like, I think just creatively, like creating what you know, writing about what you know. Like, I mean, you can chastise the art, or you can knock a person's art for all of these things, but if it's coming from a place of like their own experience, that's a different thing. And I think that when
Ringo's music was a lot different than the other three.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he only wrote a
and you know what? I like Ringo's music.
Yeah, I mean, Ringo had a very limited range, and so he could only write in a couple of keys. But I mean, there are interesting, if you really study like why they wrote the songs. It's interesting because like basically when Ringo quit during the White Album, he went to Greece, and he was just out fishing or out on a yacht, and the guy that was running the yacht said, "Oh, like while we're diving, we'll probably see some octopuses." And he was telling all about how they build these gardens out front, and that's where Octopus's garden came from. So it's just like, hey, cool.
Right.
And then you see George help him write it, in the Let It Be documentary.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember that. That's a good part. So
now, anyway, you get on one of those YouTube kicks and you just sit there and
you can go down a rabbit hole. I go down, especially with Pink Floyd. I go down huge YouTube rabbit holes with Pink Floyd. But I don't know. Like I said, Matt and I both just love music and talk about it all day.
Yeah, well, and it's always fun to kick the Beatles can, because it's like approaching them and different, looking at them and their music. So,
but I read this, and Matt, you'll probably like this. I didn't know that.
Oh, I knew that.
No, that the Now and Then tape was specifically written for Paul. And said that when Yoko gave Paul the tape in '94, in John's handwriting, it said for Paul.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And then so Now and Then was written to Paul.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
That was the latest song, right?
I mean, I knew that it was the third, and it should have been for the Anthology 3, and I thought that was really cool because I remember when Anthology came out and the promise that each anthology would have a single, and it was just like, then we got to the third one, I was like,
you should have a beginning.
I was like, well, at least you gave me this version of Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter.
I love Anthology 3. I mean, it's got a lot of really good different takes of the songs.
Yeah.
I forget who it was. I was reading a little bit about another artist around the tug of war period had written a song for Paul, and the title was Old Friend or something like that, and it made Paul burst into tears because the last thing that John said to him in 76 or 77, last time they saw each other, was "Think of me now and then, old friend." And said it was just like it really hit home. I don't know. I love hearing like those little stories.
Who wrote Yoko's screaming parts?
She did.
Heather McCartney, actually.
Heather McCartney
wrote most of them.
Oh yeah, she also plays her own keyboards.
She does.
Can we go back to PSG for a second?
Yeah, I know anytime you want. I love talking.
I know they take crap for saying they made it up as they go along, but I really, when they get the final 5 Cylons, I really think they did it. I always knew that Chief was one. I told Jay that when we first started watching, I go, I think he's a Cylon. He goes, why? I go, I don't know. I think we're going to find out somewhere online he's a Cylon. This is before I knew there was more Cylons.
Well, it even makes sense with the whole Boomer thing too.
Yeah, the whole Boomer. That's what it was. I go, there's something there. But
that wasn't Linda that lost a leg, but okay, sorry.
When they picking Colonel Ty, Saul Ty as one was brilliant.
Yeah, it was,
because he was, he was very flawed, but he was a patriot, and he hated Cylons. I mean, they went as far as tearing out his eye and all this different stuff. He hated the Cylons, and he blames them for him having to kill his wife. And spoiler alert for anybody who hadn't seen it, but
too late.
But I just thought that was a brilliant choice.
Oh yeah, I loved the twist ending. I love the ending of season 3. It kind of blew me away. And
what's that fracking music?
Yeah, no, it really when they started slipping in the dialogue with what they were, the lyrics into the dialogue of what they were saying, I was like, oh, this is just so cool. And I even enjoy it on rewatch. Again, I love the beginning of season 3, the occupation, basically like those first 4 episodes is basically one big long movie. And even the 5th one, once you get to that, it keeps going because they have the traders that they're throwing out the airlocks and stuff like that. Like it's so good. The thing about season 4, and I'm not quite sure what episode you're on yet, Jack, and I know you've seen it, but the break, basically the mid break, because it's basically 4.0 and 4.5, right?
Right.
That gap between 4.0 to 4.5, and when it came back on, I was so excited. I was like, finally BSG. And that first episode back is just rip your heart out, pull your stomach out, open heart surgery the whole way. It was so brutal. It was like they had found that wasteland, and it just then the character, I don't want to say what happens, but man, that happens. It just
Well,
I was like, why do I love this show? And now I'm depressed.
Well, you get people, people are fighting, people are breaking into different divisions and stuff like that because they're on this damn ship.
Yeah.
And their world has just been, billions of people have been wiped out from these Cylons, and now they almost have to work with the Cylons to, you got Athena who's there, and they do. To me, it's a brilliant show, and I people go, they made it. I go, who cares?
Who cares if
they nailed it, and you get why they, the chief is fighting the fact that he's a Cylon, and what happens,
I lay this out to anyone that says that show writers make it up as they go along. A, are you a show writer? B, have you created anything?
Yeah.
Because there is no way when you start a piece of art to when you finish it that you know exactly what that thing is going to look like.
Right.
And if you did, hello AI, it is going to be sucked of all soul and just some kind of just some synthetic thing, because it has to be organic.
Right.
So
to make Chief a Cylon, also his wife hated the skin jobs more than anybody.
Right.
She hated them.
Yeah.
It was
cracking one.
It never would have worked. And you see her reaction when she finds out.
Yeah.
It's just like that. They may have made it up as they went along, but they set that up.
Yep.
Forever, because she was consistent with her hate.
But as you're painting a painting, you're drawing something, you're writing something, as you go along, you're like, oh wait, we could do this with these characters and it would work. We've already have a couple dominoes back here. This could work. So the reveal at the end of season 3, where they go in season 4, there's some things that as a fan I was like, you have those theories, or you're like, oh, I want them to do this, or I want them to go there, and it doesn't come true. Sometimes you're let down.
I kept thinking
we've all been there, and I felt a little bit with that with 4.0, but by the end of season 4, and I will go to bat every time for this, the final of BSG gives me something that I wish all epic shows would do, which is an epilogue. They give me time with these characters at the very end, and I enjoy it. And I like what happens with them in that piece. Say what you will about the whole Starbuck thing. It's fine. I'm fine with it. That part doesn't bother me at all. I love the living that occurs at the end. So sorry. It's something that I just love about that.
What they do with the word frack. Because they're obviously saying fuck, but you can't say that on
it's a colorful metaphor.
Yeah, so you go frack. Oh, frack you. Oh, frack this, frack, and you start you're hearing fuck every time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But you're like going, that was brilliant to come up with that. Frack this. Oh, you're a mother fracker. It was anything that you would you use.
Frack, yes, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just
frack you. You want to frack?
Yeah. I mean, when I hear that word, I always think of Colonel Ty saying it to the chief.
Yes.
Because he's defending Grace Park, Boomer. He's like, "Oh, come on, you were fracking her."
You were fracking.
Yep, I like that one.
But there's a scene where Ty finally, when he first realizes he's a Cylon, and he goes in there and he's like he's only got one eye now, but he's like this, and then you see him pull out a gun and shoot Adama in the head. You're going, I remember when I first watched that, going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then you go, "Oh, he's just thinking of things," and he starts thinking, "Would I do that?" Because that's what happened with Boomer. She didn't even know she did it. It was
just programming. Yeah,
she was programmed to do it, and it was like, I know it's a really, really good show. And I know when people complain about that, I just go, I don't get.
I don't know why
if you're making it up. If you're making it up, you go along and it sucks.
Right.
Okay, but if you nail it, who cares?
I think that a lot of people, including myself, when you have an idea of how you think the show is going to go, and then it doesn't either go the way or doesn't reach the expectations that you had in your head, you're going to start complaining. I didn't complain. I thought BSG was excellent. I thought it went where I never would have thought it would go. And so I loved it when shows do that.
Yeah. There's especially with the Earth aspect too, because they had to do something with the Earth mythology.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, they also had to end it where the two sides were no longer going to fight because the humans would never survive if they were still fighting.
It was brilliant in that they tied it all back to all this has happened before and it'll happen again. And so
well, they say it a lot during the
they do a lot, but I mean it really tied that in at the end, and the fact that the whole time you're thinking this is way into our future, and really it's our origins, and and then you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And it also kind of goes into this whole, like, even in today's world of like, how did we have that technology back then? We don't even have that today. And it's like, it's because they were Cylons that settled the Earth. It's just like, it's a lot of layers there that you can pick apart.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I always going back to who we thought the Cylons were. I don't know why. You said you thought it was Chief the whole time. I don't know why, but in my mind, I always thought it was Kaylee or Casey, the little helper. I, for some reason, always thought it was
his wife.
Yeah, his wife, because just how needy she was, or not needy, but how like it made sense in that it makes more sense that it's Chief and that the people ended up being people that were high up in the ranks. But I also kind of like that it could be her of like a sleeper cell type. I'm manipulating this guy to do what I want him to do.
Well, I think I just watched a couple episodes ago where Chief's in the bar and Adama comes to talk to him. And he's basically saying, Kylie, basically he's saying he loved Boomer, but he wasn't allowed to love Boomer. He settled for her.
Oh, because he couldn't mourn Boomer because she was a Cylon. Yeah,
and he loved her. They wanted to have a family together, and they
him. I thought you were talking about Adama. Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, Adama, was because he wasn't allowed to fraternize with Boomer. Before that, it just, and it's just like, God, his wife just died, and he's saying basically, I didn't care. I mean, I think he cared about her, but it wasn't that he loved Boomer more than he loved.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people, though. Depending on how you look at it.
A lot of people liked Boomer more than her.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about like, yeah. It's one of those things like when you love somebody, you kind of always love them, in a way, in some part of them, even though that ended, you always do. There's always some scar or wound that never heals, and even though you moved on and you love somebody else, you're always going to love some aspect because it was a part of your life. It was you grew in that period or
Nick, you've been looking up some high school sweethearts on Facebook
all the time, man. I'm that crazy stalker that like, hey, you remember like 25 years ago, man? Yeah.
You remember me?
I know you got like 3 kids, but come on, we can make it work.
Yeah, we can work it out.
Remember how we used to fit in the back of my Escort? I don't know.
Back
I
in
didn't
my
have an Escort.
57
I'm just
Chevy.
imagining like those Escorts because they were really small cars.
I had an Escort.
Ford Escort.
Escort
Actually,
GT.
Actually, what I had a '93 GMC Silverado, and
Silverado.
What I loved about those. Actually, was it Silver? No, because GMCs weren't Silverados; those were Chevys. Whatever it was GMC Sierra, and what I loved about those trucks, it was like the last generation where you could have a full bench front, and it's an extended cab. So if you pulled the headrests off and you hit the layback seat, the whole bench would lay back, and it was basically a solid bed.
Wow.
It was awesome.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I always wanted the Subaru Brat. I like the 2 chairs in the back of the. I don't know what it was, but I love the 2 seats in the back. Never got it though. Never had it. Got a Datsun 210.
Nice.
First car was my parents gave me their Gran Torino. I was going to make it all Starsky and Hutch.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Never got it. Well, gas got. That's when, of course,
Ridiculous,
I start driving, and there's gas shortages, odd and even days, and the gas shut up to 78 cents a gallon. People are going, "What's the big deal?" I go, "I was only making $1.15 an hour."
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was talking about how much they hated that Gran Torino, though. Like in Starsky and Hutch, they said it. They said they tried to wreck every single model they ever had.
Huh.
So every episode, so they tried to total the car.
Really?
So they said because like it handled like shit's what they said, and they hated it because it was just the ass was too heavy or something, and they said that you just couldn't drive it very well, so they just tried to wreck it every episode.
What I thought was funny is because the front of it looked like a cop car. I think that's the cop cars in San Diego anyway. So at night, if you got behind somebody, they would slow down really slow, and you're like going, "Oh, they think I'm a cop."
Then you get next to them. What's up?
I had a friend who had a station wagon, but he had a cop's light on the thing.
Oh, like on the side? Yeah.
So we'd go downtown San Diego before they cleaned it up. Well, it's a mess now again.
It's a mess now, yeah.
But it was really bad back then, and there'd be people doing drug deals, but we'd go, "Vice!" They'd shine it on, they'd run. Well, now we couldn't do it because they'd shoot you. But back then it was a lot of fun. There's hookers and stuff doing their things that were shining this bright light.
Well, it's amazing to me, like how different generations entertain themselves and what they do. Because like when I was in high school, it was very much like, I think, was it Chris last week, where we talked a little bit about Dazed and Confused, that movie. And that was very much my high school. And the fact that like what we did for fun is that we just drove up and down like our main drag, all the cars, and then we'd pull into McDonald's or Walmart or a gas station, and then we'd all talk for a while, then we'd get back in the cars and drive a bit more. But that's when gas was like 80 cents a gallon. And nowadays you're like, fuck that. I got to take a mortgage out to drive that much now.
We used to do fake fights. We'd get out of the car and go and jump on the hood. People are like, but there's no phones for people to film and stuff like that. Well, we go, TJ Hooker, you jump on the hood of the car and they would drive a little way on it. Then, obviously it'd stop eventually. And we were pretty wild near EPA.
Was it? I can't remember if it was the remake of Dukes of Hazzard or somewhere in the early 2000s where someone was trying to do like those very 70s, like slide across the hood. No, I remember what it was. It was that movie with Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro where they were cops. They're making like a TV show. But it's a movie. It's really good if you haven't seen it, Jack.
I don't think I've even heard of it.
It's like Showtime. That's what the movie's called, Showtime. And
I don't ever seen it.
You should watch it. It's funny. But I think there's some outtakes, I think, of that. Maybe it's that. But like where they're trying to actually slide across the hood, like they do in the movies. And like Eddie Murphy just keeps eating it. Because it's like, this shit is like, it's hard,
Well, they make it look so easy in the movies.
Right. But no, if you haven't seen Showtime, I mean, it's probably, there's only, like Eddie Murphy definitely had a lull, but then he had a few good movies.
Bowfinger.
Yeah, Bowfinger. That's what I was trying to think of. Bowfinger, Daddy Daycare, and then Showtime was good. There's a few right there where he had another.
I feel like I've seen Showtime for some reason, but
Rene Russo, Robert De Niro, and it's probably Robert De Niro's last release.
Rene Russo's the one. She's the one that always gets stuck with the old guy.
Yeah.
and you're like going, except in Major League, she's with Tom Berenger, but it's like you sit there and go, she's attractive. Why is she always stuck with the old ugly guy?
I don't know.
I don't know.
She was close. She's born in like 53 or 54. So like,
well, she didn't look that old though.
No, she didn't. Like she was. I told you that. Like I was there was a protest going on in downtown LA, and I happened to see her, and she was the smallest. You know, because they always say actors are small. You know, but like I couldn't get over how small.
No, I'm tall. I'm tall.
No, she was. Yeah, she's probably 5'5" or something like that. But she had these little stick legs. I was like, that's Renee Russo. Like, holy shit.
Huh.
But anyway.
Yeah, we used to have a lot of actors come into the ice skating rinks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say in your business, got to mail some shit out.
Yeah. Well, no,
I got this Mother's Day card. It's like right now. I got to send it, Jack.
Yeah. Well, that would happen.
I know.
Mother's Day card had to get there. What's the cheapest way? You know, just whatever. It doesn't matter. Mother's Day card has to get there. It has to get there. Greg Louganis' mom used to come in and send him packages all the time. To him, and he was living in LA somewhere. Anyway.
Who are y'all rooting for? Were y'all rooting for the Florida or for the Oilers in the Stanley Cup?
Oh, I was keep the cup in America.
Oh, okay.
I know it pisses people from Canada off, so I enjoy it.
That's why
so much. Well, Russ was from Canada.
Sure.
So Russ from Canada, who rooted for the Chiefs in Kansas City, and which I remember him telling the story. I think
Russ went against the stereotypical, all Canadians are friendly.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not.
But no, there were a lot of Canadians, and they'd always go. I go, where's the cup? Well, the players are Canadian. I go, they got a dream to take them there. They're coming to America. You know why? Because they want to win the cup. It's been since
coming to America.
94 since the today.
And you guys, if you haven't seen that SNL sketch, you should watch it. That's a funny one. It's Will Ferrell and John Goodman, and they're doing like a VH1 storytellers, and it's Neil Diamond, and Will Ferrell is Neil Diamond, and it starts off great, and then all of a sudden he gets very Will Ferrell, and John Goodman is like his lead guitarist or whatever, and he's like, so Will Ferrell like, so this next song is about what you don't really know is that I have a deep hatred of all people of color and race, and I wrote this song about
it's Goodman saying this,
our immigration problem, and he's like, all around the world they're coming to America. He's like, you remember when I wrote that, John? He's like, leave me out of this, man. He's like, no, I will leave you in. It's just, Jesus Christ. And he turns all these Neil Diamond songs into trashy stories.
I mean,
what about Sweet Caroline?
Well, that's definitely not an orgy.
Yeah.
Sweet
hands reaching out, touching me. It's an orgy.
Yeah. Is it an orgy?
I always heard it was about one of the kids.
It's not. I'm bastardizing that song. Love it all you want, but next time you listen to it, though, think about me and think about an orgy.
Yeah, that's tops on my list.
A kid. Saw a couple movies. My sister was in town visiting, so her daughter is, I believe, 8. So we went to see Inside Out 2.
Okay,
that was a fun movie. So definitely a solid Pixar movie where it's both good for kids and adults. Adults get the humor, and there's messages for both. There's definitely
subliminal.
So I enjoyed it. It was made me laugh a lot.
My wife and daughter took my granddaughter and my wife took one of her grandsons, and said they're 4 and 6, and not quite. Was she 6 yet? No, not quite 6. Is she? No, it's not quite 6 yet. And she said they kind of got bored with it.
Huh. Did they not like Pouchy?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
There's a moment and a character.
I saw some of the first one. We were watching it here one day. And I get that it's about them controlling this girl who plays hockey.
They're her emotions.
Yeah.
So, and when your emotions take control of you, so the newer movie involves anxiety. So, and how anxiety can kind of take over. So, but
just watch Batman. I mean, those are all mental issues.
Batman.
What was the second film you watched, Matt?
So another, kid, good for kids kind of movie. It's called Slumberland. It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And has the guy that plays Aquaman. Blanking on his name. I apologize. He's also in Dune, Part 1. So.
Momoa. Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. He's on those commercials with the Scrubs guys.
Also, Chris Dowd, who is in the IT crowd, as well as the more recent show on Apple, the Door Prize show. I liked season 1. I need to watch season 2. I started watching season 2, and then I think I jumped to something else, and I was like, I'll come back to you. But I like Chris Dowd as an actor as well. But that involves kind of it's based on Nemo and Slumberland, so it involves dreams and what have you. So, but I liked it. It was a cute movie. So, and I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of TV. Just from week to week, or while my family in town, but mainly kind of watch shows with my sister at night, and watch comedies. So we watched a little bit of Rick and Morty. Finished the most recent season of Rick and Morty. There were some pretty good episodes in there. I always laugh. And then of course I subjected my sister to my recent favorite comedy that I keep telling everybody about, which is Kunk on Earth.
Right.
So many nuggets, so many funny nuggets in that.
I still haven't watched that.
It's okay. It's not everybody's bag.
Have you watched that 404 upload show I told you to watch?
Sure. I just told you I didn't watch any shows.
I told you about 2 years ago.
It's my upload or not 404?
404.
No, it's 404 something on the cock.
On the cock.
British show. Well, the guy that plays in Franklin, the guy that plays the doctor that betrays him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he's on that.
Okay.
Because like the third episode, I go, what show is this guy in? I go, that show where
I'm
404 show.
Again, Jack.
It's hilarious.
I'm writing it down again.
Hilarious.
It's on my 404, and it's on the cock.
I think it's 404, the cock.
Yeah.
It's a British show. It's like 4 seasons.
British. I love a good British show. In fact,
since you have BritBox, man, I meant to bring this earlier when we were talking about Doctor Who. Stephen Moffat has a new show out. It's only on like one of the random. It's not BBC, but it's on one of the British networks.
Okay.
It's called Douglas is Cancelled.
Yeah, I don't think that's on BritBox right now.
Okay, it just came out.
I think it's like, too new, but it does have.
It's very new.
It does have Karen Gillian in it.
There's a lot of famous British people in it. It's actually people that he's worked with all in the past.
Okay.
So I've heard it's just gotten mixed reviews so far, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing it. That's some things that piss me off about sometimes with British or European TV is like how long it takes to get over here. Like,
for sure.
Because it's kind of like all the times
it's got to travel. Sometimes they go by boat.
They send it by Titanic. Yeah,
I assume they're on big, huge, giant reels, and they have to spool it onto the actual internet computer.
Exactly.
So it can be uploaded.
Yeah, it takes time.
But it's just it's like Das Boot, with not the movie, but there was, it's a series, and season 1 you can watch, and season 1 is excellent.
Yeah.
And they've made like 4 seasons of it, and they still have not released 2, 3, or 4 in the United States. And it's like, what the fuck?
It is. Well, it is so frustrating.
Amazon Prime they did Billy the Kid. I watched season 1. The other one's on MGM's streaming service. I go, well.
Okay, so I ran into this with BritBox, and specifically Black Adler. So Black Adler is both on Hulu and on BritBox, but some of it is on BritBox and some of it is on Hulu. And by the way, Black Adler has different phases to it, so it jumps through time. It's the same actor, the guy that plays Bean, Ron Atkins.
Jelly?
It's early in his career.
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, yeah, but it's Rowan Atkins who plays Mr. Bean. He stars in Black Adler, and it kind of goes through English kind of history as he jumps from different time period to time period. It's funny. I mean, it's not everybody's thing. I think I had a harder time actually with season 1, but I thought season 2 was brilliant.
What bothers me about Amazon Prime, not only do they show you a show like that, but Battlestar Galactica is commercials.
Oh, that sucks.
It's like
on Prime?
It's like on Prime. I'm like, I can't pay for Prime. And you'll get. Okay. So what I do is I have another window open as the commercials are playing. I go like ESPN or else. Okay, we done? Okay, come back to the commercials. It's just like I'm paying for the Prime. Why do I have to watch commercials?
And it totally takes you out of it.
Yeah, Amazon just did that like 4 months ago or 3 or 4 months ago, where they basically everyone who was paying for the non-commercials now gets commercials for that same price, and then they jack the price up if you don't want commercials. And I've even heard that about Disney Plus though too. Like they're going from it's like I think it's $80 a year right now for a Disney Plus subscription, and it's going to be $135 starting in October.
We all cut the cord, and it's costing us more than
we also have the ability to cut away things. So I always keep that in mind. Is that you do have the choice to kind of like, hey, I'm going to turn off the faucet. Going to turn off the faucet. It's hard to decide which ones to turn off, but that is the thing. Because I don't always have
rewatch, so I cut the cock.
I don't always have BritBox, but I upped it again just recently. Like I turned it off, and then my sister was in town, and there's one episode of the IT Crowd, season 2, episode 1. It's when they go to a musical. I think it is hilarious. It's probably I think it's their funniest episode personally. But I think it's a laugh riot. So there's some really good episodes in season 1. It's hard to
well, it's like I subscribe through my Hulu package, Paramount Plus, which also comes with Showtime. Because I really just did that just so I could watch A Gentleman in Moscow. But also I kind of want to watch Yellow Jackets, which I'm like 4 episodes into season 1. But it's also one of those shows where I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep watching Yellow Jackets. It just makes me uncomfortable.
Doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I can tell it's good.
People keep saying they watch Yellow Jackets. Okay, what's it about?
It's kind of like I brought it up. It's kind of like, you remember the movie Alive that came out like 20 years ago or 30 years ago about the rugby team that crashes into the Andes?
Yeah, it's
kind of the same premise, and that now it's a high school soccer team that crashes somewhere in the, I think, Canadian wilderness or somewhere, and it's not bad. It's actually a good show, but it's just one of those things where
does it make you hungry?
No, it doesn't make you hungry at all. But yeah, I can just see where it's going. I think I can. So it's just one of those like, I don't know if I want to keep watching this, but it does have a lot of very good actresses in it. So it's like, I probably will watch a few more episodes before I finally go, okay, I'm unsubscribing now to Paramount Plus, because I'm not going to watch Yellowstone or any of those other shows. It's got Lucy from Fallout. Exactly. Okay. Lucy from Fallout's in it. You'd recognize, Christina Ricci's in it. Okay. There's another, I forget what her name is. She was in Cape Fear and in the 90s. She was famous actor. There's a few people that you'll recognize.
One thing about the show Chef, and I'm not spoiling anything, but the portions seem pretty small.
Oh yeah.
Well, at high dining, you're
the bear. What I say, chef? Oh,
chef. Yeah, chef. That's one thing that's always pissed me off about any kind of restaurant like that, is that you paying like $35-$40 or more for a meal, and it's just all a bunch of just drizzle shit on the plate, and they're like, where's the food?
But that's how it is. That's how they eat overseas, though. I mean, when you go to France or you go to countries like that.
Actually, when I went to France, they weren't small portions.
Really?
Yeah. No, I had a full meal. I would actually. And when I go to the museums here in America, like the Met, it's like grab and go food.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, here's a meat sandwich that's been saran wrapped here. You want some hummus or a yogurt cup? It's basically, bare bones. At the Louvre, we go to the restaurant. We want the sit down plate. Okay, sit down. There's full salad. I got a croque monsieur. Monsieur. How do you croque monsieur? Anyway, it's basically ham, Gruyere, and a kind of like a toasted. It's almost like a toasted cheese, but it's a specific cheese with ham. And but I mean, I was full. It was a normal size proportions. Now, my wife and I did, for her birthday this year, we had enough kind of money saved up from these gift certificates or what have you. So we went to this really fancy place in Indy. I think it's called Vita. And they
Velveeta?
No, I think it's just VIDA.
Okay.
And it's a more of a experience dining where there's actually, and we paid for like it was for a birthday celebration. So we had kind of like the 7-course meal where they come out with a small, but it is a small portion. But you're really getting these like flavorful bites. And when I watch The Bear, I think about that place because of the care. And although the proportions were small, because there were so many meals, you felt full by the end. And the dessert, oddly enough, the last one was my least favorite because they gave you too much, and it was chocolate.
Oh, and it's super rich.
And it was super rich. And I was like, okay, this is the one area. And it's funny because The Bear talks about like desserts. Like, I think it's Bear season 2. They talk about like, oh, desserts are always like not thought of. And so they have the character that spends a lot of time researching desserts and focusing on desserts.
Right.
This was one of those moments where I was like, okay, if you would have just gone with a little bit less chocolate and give me some light, fluffy, creamy, something to balance the chocolate, it would have it would have been perfect. I felt. But
was it dark chocolate? Because I'm not a fan.
No, it was very rich chocolate. Yeah, it was like a chocolate.
Any chocolate in Europe is going to be so much different than here.
No, this was in India.
This is in Indianapolis.
This was in
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Vita,
right on the Speedway, and at the end they get chocolate with some milk.
No, this was in downtown Indy, but this was a place where we had the 7-course meal. This was for her birthday. In Paris, we did have more proportions. There was another restaurant that I ate at in Paris, though, also in the museum, and they had a Caesar salad XL. So it was extra large. Couldn't finish it, by the way. But here in the States, usually we just get grilled chicken kind of thrown on top. And I'm not a big, like, of the meats, chicken's probably,
it's plain.
Probably like kind of lower. But the way they did it, they didn't do grilled chicken. They actually had a light breading, not your Kentucky Fried Chicken breading either. It was a very like even with a little bit of sesame thrown in there. It was perfect. It was, I love eating at a nice restaurant, and just those memories of
absolutely,
so I think when we're talking about like fine dining or like that, like small portions, like I think about that one restaurant in downtown Indy where it was like small, but it built. It was kind of like, it got just a little bit bigger, and you got a little bit of a variety. There was only like a couple plates. I think there was one plate where my wife was like, "This isn't me," so I got to kind of eat.
Oh,
yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll eat that one. But anyway, I digress. I do want to watch The Bear. It is on my, I need to like have a priority. But like Chris, I will be going on my July 4th vacation tomorrow. So I might be a little bit behind on my TV watching again.
Non-spoilery of The Bear season 3, but my dad is funny in like what characters he always likes, and like granted, I love Oliver Platt as well as an actor, but like he loves for some reason Oliver Platt, and he's like,
it's a great character.
It's a great character, yeah. But like he's only watched like 2 or 3 episodes of the current season, but like he calls me up, he's like, $11,000 for fucking butter. I'm like, like yeah. And like he quotes me the line. I'm like, exactly, isn't it crazy?
Exactly. You're like going, well, I don't want to spoil anything.
It's like, it's the best. He's like, $11,000 for fucking butter? Like,
it's fucking butter.
It's butter.
Fucking butter.
Well, there's this a couple of years ago, I was watching this Japanese reality TV show on Netflix. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's basically kind of similar to like a Big Brother scenario where you have all of these people like kind of in this house living or what have you, but not quite as like not quite as heavy on the sex relationship stuff because it's Japan. I think that one was Tokyo House, but one of the characters one of the people, because it's a reality TV, but one of them gets this really nice steak.
I've seen that show. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
And he earned it from a client, and it was a really expensive steak because it was grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
Like in the these certain
like
area.
Yeah.
And he puts it in the refrigerator, and the other roommates cook it up. And they eat it, and he's pissed. And they're all like,
yeah.
I don't see what the big deal is. And he's like, that was a gift for me. That was like a $200 or whatever. It was like a very expensive.
And steak is rare.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if they cook it rare, but it's not like here where there's steak,
Right. Yeah.
Well, they don't have a lot of land.
They don't have a lot of cattle.
Cows, so it's, what they do have is.
I would have been pissed too.
Yeah. So I think he ends up leaving, if I remember correctly. But
I forget the name of that show. It is something like Tokyo.
I think it's
House.
Tokyo House, because they did a couple different ones.
They've done different ones. Yeah, and like they're all live in a house, and they kind of come in and out. And
come in and out. They have different careers. They'll focus on them. I really enjoyed it when I was learning Japanese. Way back when I was really.
Did you turn Japanese?
I
think so.
I did. I think I did.
I really
watching that show.
I really think so.
We should turn in another commercial though before we end this puppy.
Okay. I know a few years, probably 10 years ago, during the summer they were showing Japanese game shows.
Oh.
During the summer, and it was like these things. They were so much fun because the things they had to do, but it was Americans coming over and doing the Japanese game show.
That's even that premise is even
it's
more exciting.
It's like when they had Wipeout and all those different shows during the summertime. I was like,
that's another old SNL bit you should watch. You haven't seen that one. It's Chris Farley, and I think Alec Baldwin is the host, but it's supposed to be a Japanese game show, and and of course he doesn't speak.
I don't know what's going on here.
He's like, look here. I was told by the concierge that I was just gonna go watch a show, not be on it. And they're like cutting off their fingers and shit. It's like,
I don't want to do this. Yeah, I saw that one.
When we were in France, like we would turn on the TV and just kind of watch and see what French TV was like. But we stumbled across. Maybe I told you this. I don't know. It feels like I haven't talked to you, but. I turned on Malcolm in the Middle was playing, of all things. Okay. Yeah. It was like on a kids channel. They just had this American syndicated show, and it was kind of funny because it's like you can pretty much figure it out, and even though you don't understand the language, you know what's kind of going down, and it was also kind of interesting because it's a show I really like. I remember it being on. I didn't really watch it religiously or anything. I might have caught a couple episodes. I knew the premise, but then of course Bryan Cranston and seeing him being overdubbed with French, and it's an episode where he gets a lot of money, and so he's showing all of this money, and it's kind of funny because I'm like, well, it's because he's cooking meth. That's been going on in the back of my mind, I'm
like, cooking blue meth, man.
Yeah.
There's an episode of that show. My boss calls it yak shaving. I'm not sure if that's what they call it on the show or not, but Brian, it's a scene in that show that summarizes what a lot of my job is and what a lot of people do. And that
Malcolm in the Middle?
In Malcolm in the Middle, yeah, because Bryan Cranston's character is like, it could be anything. Like you open up the refrigerator door and the light's off. And so you go, I need to go get a new light bulb for the refrigerator. But as you go to the cabinet where the light bulbs are, you open up something else and there's another problem. And so you're like, oh shit, I need to fix that. And the next thing you know, you're 10 things away from what your initial one was. And it's that scene, but in Malcolm in the Middle episode, that's basically what it is. It's like he ends up working on the car, and like the wife comes and says, I thought you were gonna this. Like, what do you think I'm doing? And it's like because he's not doing.
Actually, that's an episode I saw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've only seen a few of them. I saw that one.
That's a smart premise.
Yeah.
For a show.
It's true because you go.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
We've all been there.
Because I got our
projects around the house.
Our pantry, door it was never put in right, but they got to be plugged and put back in, and I have everything for it. So now I go, I gotta fix this door because you have to kind of lift it to shut it, and it's glass and all this different stuff. I go, I gotta fix this. So Cindy now will say it. I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this because I have to fix it. And it's just like, it's on my list of things to do, but
life happens.
I don't remember it until I open it. And I go,
right. I gotta fix this.
It's that broken step on Modern Family.
Yeah, and it probably would only take me maybe an hour to fix.
Right.
Maybe an hour.
Maybe two.
Maybe
don't.
Two.
I mean, I'd rather overestimate, and then perform under. It's like Scotty on Star Trek. It's like it's gonna take 5 days, but I'll get it to you in 1.
It's like
we need it in 2.
We all have stuff we have to do all the time, and like the only thing I really hate about living in Colorado is pine needles, because we have so many evergreens everywhere. I have to all the time clear pine needles around my house because it's a fire hazard. And you don't think about it when you just see them on the ground, like, oh yeah, there's some pine needles over there, there's pine needles over there. But as you start to pick them up, holy shit, there's so many.
Yeah.
So I did the front part of my house back in April, which took me probably 4 days to like just put them all in trash bags and all this, and I've got the backyard all like raked up in piles, but I just will not will myself to go out there and pick them up and put them in bags. It's like, no, I don't want to do it.
Well, I don't know about Indiana, but they use those for like instead of mulch. They'll put it around flowers and trees and
it's a natural mulch.
We moved here. I went, what the hell are these ugly pine needles? I got rid of all of them. I said, I'm gonna get real mulch, but we have a pine tree that's just useless, just sitting up there. Every day I got like 50 pine cones on the ground. The squirrels climb all the way up there. They eat the green ones, knock them down. You got to watch out that you don't get hit in the head by them. And I have my snow shovel, which I haven't had to shovel snow in, I don't know, forever. Exactly. And I throw them in the back. we have our fence, and then we have the other side that's full of trees and stuff like that. But I just throw it over there and to get rid of these stupid pine cones.
I do like when it's not around your house, of course, but when you walk through a forest with pines and the pine needles below, and it's so sound absorbing that there's a specific kind of feel to that.
And they smell good.
Smell good, yeah. Mm-hmm. So
but this is useful. We have no shade from any trees because they tore them all apart. They tore them all down, except for this one. It's technically it's like half on our property, half not. And I'm like going, it's leading now towards I go, I wish it would just fall. Just fall. Cause it's like 150 feet in the air, but it doesn't give you any shade. It's the most useless tree.
Would you call it impotent?
Yeah, I would.
So it's Charlie Brown Christmas.
It's Charlie Brown Christmas, except 150 feet tall.
When we first moved here, they had an ice storm. We had an ice storm, and all the branches fell off it. So it was like a bald tree. And I said, "Oh,
wow!"
Well, in fact, one point it was like lean. The first thing I came up to because Cindy bought the house without me being here. She picked out the house and
she gymmed you.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big clown picture on. But no, the house she thought it was the next door house. She thought that was the house. So I get there and I go, why is this stupid tree here? I go, what happens if a hurricane comes? Go through our fucking house. And I've been bitching about this tree forever. I hate this fucking tree. Anyway, ironically, it's a bald tree, and it's okay.
Yeah, you're a bald. You're a baldist. I'm gonna call you out.
You can pick on bald people. It's okay.
No, I'm saying you're racist against bald people. You're a baldist.
I can't be racist against bald people because I'm bald.
I've heard you belittle. I mean, which character did you pick on and harass and harangue and hate maybe the most?
Larry David
from Lost.
No, I was Lost.
I didn't hate the character, but he was a dumbass.
He was a dumbass. That's what blows my mind. How many people love Locke? I'm like, Locke had his positive qualities, but he was a dumbass. Yeah.
Locke, he was gullible, and he was a fool.
Yeah.
And he wasn't Locke is right. No, he wasn't.
I mean,
no, he wasn't.
He's unforgivable. Like, and think he got how many people did he get killed?
Right,
his blind faith.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's what people.
Yeah, the blind faith thing kind of really like sums it up too, because he was kind of blind in that way. Like that's what kind of makes him a flawed.
His flashbacks were the most important of the series because it showed that he wanted to be that guy. But he was just gullible.
But also,
his dad stole his kidney.
Everything with his dad too is really important.
It's extremely important. And he had a chance for a whole new life on the island. It was what he wanted. It was his walkabout.
Yeah.
I have not pushed Lost on my kids. I'm just waiting for the moment where like we can start watching Lost. So.
Well, there's still. I mean, one of them probably could handle it, but not that your kids are immature, but like it definitely requires some. Higher level thinking. Some of it does.
Yeah, I mean they're
watching Doctor Who. I mean,
that's true. But
yeah,
I'm not saying. I'm saying that's what I was saying. These kids
aren't
dumb. But like, no.
Yeah, he said they're bald.
Well,
and stupid.
I guess because I think about like how many movies, how many TV shows have you watched where there's so many lines that you don't get because of your age, and then as you watch them later, you're like, oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah, but I mean, there's tons of stuff like that, though. I mean, I think they would like the adventure and the mystery aspect of it for sure.
Absolutely.
Like
I used to watch MASH and All in the Family when I was a kid, even Mary Tyler Moore, I'd be like, and then I watch it like 10 years later, I go.
Also, by the way, my youngest, Everest, he is. I mean, like he's gotten to a point where he's
like K2.
He's smarter than me about certain things because he's been heavy, as I've mentioned, into Lord of the Rings and Hobbit mythology and all of that stuff. So
he's ready for Lost.
So he picks up on names and things, and he's that's that person. I'm like, I've never put that together. Thanks.
Right.
Like I'm like.
So it's ready for Lost. I mean, it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, no, first there's a couple shows that it's kind of like we have to.
I had people, hey, it's on Netflix. You're gonna watch it? I go, no.
You're like, I've got all the DVDs.
Yeah, I got. Well, I do, but it's like I don't. I'm not.
You're like, well, you've lived it so many times, right? You've rewatched it.
I've never watched it though without having to take notes.
Have you ever watched it backwards?
No, I've never done that.
A backwards rewatch. That would be a weird way to watch it because it would be really hard because it doesn't lead into the other,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I'm just putting that out there for TV show network people that listen to this show because I know you do. He said ironically to no one. But it would be kind of a funny feature to put in for a show, like watch this show backwards, like so you could watch the previous show,
Previously. Yeah.
So
preview.
Were you on the episode where Jack was talking about did Wesley Snipes' character touch third base in?
Yeah, I was at the. I came in late on that episode. And
Okay.
You guys were talking about it as I came in.
Okay.
So.
Well, I thought of another one for Jack because Jack likes to do his own little YouTube shows where he nitpicks a movie or something to death.
Did I freeze?
You did freeze, Jack.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Damn it, Maverick.
Didn't notice.
So in the movie Caddyshack, for example, is Judge Smalls really a bad guy? So Jack,
he's a dick.
He's a dick, but is he really the bad guy?
Right.
And
No,
let's make the case for him, though. He's just an old guy who's earned what he's earned, this premium membership to this golf course. He just wants a clean cut golf course. And then you have this rich asshole come in playing loud music, tearing up his golf course. He saves a little money, buys a boat. What happens? The rich asshole destroys his boat.
You scratched my dinghy.
Yeah, exactly.
My anchor.
He takes a young, aspiring caddy under his wing, and then what's the young caddy do? Says, "Fuck you, Judge. I'm gonna fuck your niece on your bed. I'm gonna look at your wife naked." I kind of feel for the guy.
No, you make a fair point.
Yeah, he's
but the movie doesn't work.
And then he's raising Spalding, which is not even his kid.
I'm leaving here. Where am I going? Where am I going? There, I'm back. I'm back.
You're still frozen.
I know, but you guys are moving though.
Oh, okay.
He's not. But you want to nitpick on something when they play "Any Way You Want It" from Journey. Sure, there's a radio, but there's no speakers.
I just always assume the speakers are somewhere in the bag, but
no, they'd be muffled, wouldn't they? They'd have to be out. Well, it's just a radio. I mean, I know when we're in the car, we all instead of going back towards the speakers, we always lean towards the radio.
That's true.
But the radio's not giving out the sound; it's the speakers. There's no speakers in the bag.
Okay.
I mean, you kind of derail.
You can go on that track, or you can think of Caddyshack as a treatise on Reagan trickle-down economics and what it did to class warfare and creating like a bigger divide between the two, and that eventually, like the explosions that happen at the end, the golf course exploding, is 9/11. Think about it. Think about it. The gopher is basically George Bush.
I thought you were going to say the gopher was. I thought you were going to say the gopher was a terrorist.
No, the gopher's not the terrorist. He's running from all of the bombing, right?
But why are they bombing? Because the gopher's a terrorist.
Because it's game over. It's game over for both.
Excuse me, if I get rid of all the gophers,
for both the high and the low class, it's like it destroys the whole system. Now, Caddyshack 2 is really a treaty about 21st century.
I saw it once
and what happened with Russia.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think that the gopher is the terrorist because
Rodney Dangerfield is basically Trump. Look it up. It's all there. Caddyshack,
clear as crystal.
Basically,
somebody step on a duck. Somebody step on a duck.
Oh, Jack, did you finish the Gene Wilder documentary?
I have not finished it yet. I forgot all about it.
He's frozen. What can he do?
That's true.
Hey, you know what? I could be for president.
You know what? I think StreamYard is basically frozen you because it's saying that we need to end this show. We're almost at 2 hours.
There, right?
Yeah, we probably should end it. Yeah. We should probably end it. All right, guys. We have any emails other than the Randy sent one?
Yeah, we got two. The one that, like I said, I'll read when Chris gets back, and then we got one from Dennis. It's long too, I think. Yeah. He's probably asleep by now, but.
Dennis or
Randy? Oh, that's right. Randy's only going
Randy.
Sorry,
Randy retired.
I have not read this, so I'll probably end up being a little bit dyslexic when I read it. Okay. So it's called NFL Explained. Hi, Nick, Jack, Chris, and Matt. A couple of weeks ago, the NFL Network ran a mini marathon of NFL Explained, a documentary series about different aspects and history of the NFL. I've watched 2 of the 4 I recorded so far, and I highly recommend them for NFL fans, young and old. Jack has a connection to the first one, NFL Explained, Evolution of Referees, which is mostly narrated by referee Sean Hockley. Sean Hockley. Hockley, sorry. Yeah, Hockley. Son of friend of the Jay and Jack Network retired referee Ed Hockley.
He's built like me.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Not that Jack's big, but they show some of the history of officials in the NFL.
You never see me in the shower.
But but also complicated, intense, and scrutinized modern day officiating has become. Sean does a great job.
Well, you know why? Because the television technology is so much better than it was, and it's only going to get worse. It's only getting worse for these referees because you can see every mistake they make. It's because
like I said last week, University of Tennessee won the College World Series last week in baseball, and you wouldn't believe how many times the first base umpire was challenged by Tennessee about throwing people out, and they were overturned probably 6 out of 10 times or 7 out of 10 times. It was crazy. Like, oh wow, like how wrong you are.
But anyway, dumb bastard.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. The second one, NFL Explained Innovations, is all about the amazing technology that has come along over the years. From the yellow first down line. God, you remember when they used to paint the yellow first line? Like every God.
I told this story before is you're talking about the first down marker, right?
First down. The digital line.
Went to a Carolina game, see the Chargers play Carolina. It was 2004. Russ and his then wife, and she goes, "Where's that yellow line?" I go, "The what?" And she goes, "The yellow line." I go, "Oh no, that's only for TV." She goes, "What?" I go, "They only do that's just a graph. I mean, it's just like something that."
Yeah.
And I don't think she got it. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like when they put the little red line behind the hockey puck. Like 15 years ago. It was like
the
little trail. The little trail. Yeah, everybody hated it. Yeah. Anyway, the pylon cam, amazing graphics, and many more, including the sky cam, which could have come along 10 years earlier if the first demonstration for the league and network officials hadn't ended up with an out-of-control camera slamming into and knocking down goalposts at the LA Coliseum. Didn't know that. That's cool. The episode also gives us a glimpse of things to come. Ooh. This series isn't currently on the NFL Network regularly, but they all seem to be available at the YouTube account, NFL Throwback. Other topics include the evolution of the NFL players, stadiums, teams, rivalries, quarterbacks, and more. Take care, Dennis.
Oh, thanks, Dennis. Another thing happened this weekend is the NFL lost their they were overcharging for the NFL Network. And they said each owner will have to pay like $474 million in penalties. Shit. I said what they should do is have a live stream of Dean Spanos having to write that check instead of mooching off everybody else. I would pay to watch him have to write a check for $474 million because I'm going to get some of that money. So anyway, probably not 474 million, but I love to see because the NFL is all about no, it doesn't.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
No,
I'll ask Dennis. He can write in next week so I know the answer. But does this program cover the creation of maybe the greatest innovation in NFL, which is the Fox robot?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see an actual how does it move? Does it how did they build? Is he sentient? Is he what's going to become, or she what's going to become AI that takes us over? Anyway,
and
the other question,
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I mean, basically NFL created Cylons. Okay, next question for Dennis: does it cover the players that have committed homicide? Is there an episode on suicide? Just asking. Is there an episode that covers sexual abuse allegations about players? It's just a general question about the game.
Does it cover the fact that 80%, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, 80% of them end up broke?
Yeah. And the suicide thing is not a joke because it deals with concussions.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like a
junior sit
I'm guessing, but because it's not on the NFL Network, I'm wondering though, is it a little bit more of a gloves off approach? Anyway,
well, I know they had something years ago. It wasn't on the NFL Network, but when the NFL tried to deny it, and they were hiding the fact, and the players sued and got money for it.
Yeah,
that's everything. I mean,
they just
government
keep brushing.
Yeah, but
anything that has money or power is always going to deny.
Junior Seau, you look back now, he probably tried to commit suicide a couple of times, and finally he just took a gun and shot himself in the chest. I mean, one of the best players. He was from San Diego, and of course he was beloved. And it's a sad thing these guys should not have to. I mean, I know they choose to play the game.
I've seen like how even parents push their kids through football, where they're just like, well, because we have some friends that have some kids that are playing football at a youth league level, and he's really fit, and very athletic kid. But some of these kids that are out there, it's not that they're athletic; they're just, well, that kid's big. So they're not really actually physically able to do some things, but it's like, it's what the parents are willing to, is like, well, my kid can take a hit because he's big.
And you still have the people that believe, oh, these guys are pussy. They're making it to a pussy league, to put on a dress. Right. I mean, this is not my words. This is people that I've actually had fights with because I'll sit there and say, well, we got to figure out a way to protect and people would get mad. And I go, look, I was this guy. I go, my body is deteriorating because I did all these things, that we didn't have we didn't know.
Football is our modern day gladiator sport. And
I never played
They love
I never played organized football, but we would go to the park and play tackle football all day long with no equipment. And,
I dislocated my thumb playing a form of football that is not PC.
Yeah. So and you can, when you
I like how Nick looked at me. It was in the nude.
I was like, where's that thumb going? That's where my thought went.
No,
got you.
I'm referring to something that was
ultimate tag.
There was a form of football in the 80s that kids called it this, and you didn't know why.
Just smear the
and it rhymed.
Oh yeah.
So
and we used to play that all the time. And again, when we were saying I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what the smear the part was. I just said I didn't know what it was.
Right? Yeah. I mean, to us, it's just a.
I had no idea what it was.
No connotation connected to that.
Yeah.
But
I know now, and it's wrong, but I did not know that.
Well, I got my comeuppance for playing it because I jammed my thumb right into the ground, and then when I got up from the ground, my thumb was sticking in a very unusual place.
So
which
you did
is
more than jam it then.
Really, I did.
One of my favorite football stories. This in 8th grade, this kid in science class he was like 6'1", I was like 4'8", and every day he'd ask me for a quarter. He goes, "Give me a quarter, give me a quarter." He kicked me and hit me, and I didn't have a quarter. And
clearly, this kid's not getting an A in science.
No, and so he sat behind me. But what bothers me, guy I thought was one of my better friends, never told him to stop. And he was bigger than me. And I look back on it now, going, that guy really wasn't my friend. I mean, he lived on the same street. We hung out. We did all this, but he never stopped him. And so this kid, in fact, one time he pushed me into a puddle, and this guy, Bill White, he didn't like bullies, and he was a big guy. He grabbed him and said, "You better leave this guy alone." But he still bothered me. And every day in this class, he would kick me, throw things at me. And so eventually I've never got really big, but I was working out and got big. We're playing football at the school. This guy comes and plays on the other team. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't remember. But I would let him catch the ball, drill him, and just throw him into the ground. And he'd be like, "What the fuck, man? What the fuck?" Everyone's getting mad at me. I go, "Hey, it's just football. It's just football." Then finally, like the last time I hit him, and he ended up leaving because I hurt his ribs.
Oh.
I go, "Give me a quarter and I'll stop."
Oh man!
And he just kind of he just looked at me, but I don't think he knew, because he had obviously been in drugs and stuff like that. But I just,
you were like, You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
It was my favorite. It's my favorite because you finally get revenge of a bully. You know, someone picked on you every fucking day, and people didn't understand why. And afterwards, I told them, I go, that kid fucking picked on me all through 8th grade in science class, and no one did anything to stop him. And I was just too small. There was no way. He was a huge kid.
Well, he learned the ultimate science lesson. For every action, there's a reaction.
Right. But it was funny. I would literally let him catch the ball and just go, just drill him into the ground. And
those were the days.
I will go to my grave with that smile on my face, thinking, that fucker.
Then in the next life, then you guys have to flip places, you know. Anyway.
No, I would hope I wouldn't do that.
Next life for this guy.
I wouldn't want to be a bully.
Yeah. That's what it's interesting, Jack, because like I grew up middle of nowhere. And I got picked on a little bit just because I was always an outsider in my school, because like most of the kids lived in a certain neighborhood, and I
wore a leather jacket and you were called a greaser.
Yeah. No, but like by the time I got to high school, with the same people I went to school with, at this point you know each other, but you guys know me, I'm fairly laid back, like but when I'm kind of ashamed of your friend not taking up for you though, but like that was always me.
Didn't think about it till a few years ago. I was thinking about it, and I go,
you should just text him out of blue, like, hey, you remember that time back like 40 years ago? Fuck you. Yeah. No. But it only happened a couple times, maybe 3 times at most, but it could be one of those things like you and Matt, getting into it, and
fuck you, Matt.
Well, fuck you. But I would always be that guy. Like,
what did you do?
I'm flipping you off right now, but you can't see me.
I can't. It's making me mad. It's making me really mad.
Yeah. You're just staring. You're just like frozen, no emotion. What the fuck? No. But like, it always bothered me to see 2 of my good friends having a conflict, Yeah. And so I would always be that guy that would just, if they got to the point where they were almost coming to blows, I would put myself between them and then grab them both,
Yeah.
And it always worked. It was one of those things where it would shake sense into them, because they're like, whoa, if Nick's pissed, then something is wrong, because that wasn't in my character to do that.
Yeah.
And I always liked that, because like to me it's like, you guys are just fucking stupid right now, and I'm
acting stupid right now. Yeah. Well, I was from, my family's from Switzerland, so I would be.
No,
you're English, remember?
Yeah.
Well, I am English, but mostly Swiss.
You're like, I still claim Swiss as the main part.
Yeah, the main part. Well, it is the main part. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, my power move was, grab the dick and twist it. That's the power move. Yeah.
Wow.
Have you guys never heard that little bit? God, it's a comedic gold. Just Google grab him by the dick and twist it, and it's
I don't know. I don't want to like get on some.
No, it's not perverted, but it's just.
Okay.
It's
Am I gonna get like some porn channel?
No, you're not. You're not gonna get our favorite guy, or anything.
Yeah, I don't want.
Who's your favorite guy?
It's like I want to say it's a.
The guy.
I want to say it's a wrestling match or something. It's something that's televised, and some guy just goes, grab him by the dick and twist it, and like you see the whole crowd like, what the fuck, like,
and then put him in a body bag.
Yeah, it's basically.
So this person was the hawk taw girl of this.
It's probably like 10 years ago or so.
Yeah. This girl's gonna be like a millionaire.
I think it's one of those things where she'll fade away pretty quick.
Right. Like what else are you gonna do?
Somebody's once her to spit in a jar and charged $600 for the spit in the jar.
Whatever. That's what. Yeah, I read that today on X or Twitter or whatever, where some OnlyFans person had said that. It's like, girl, if you think you're going to do a podcast or a TV series, you are dreaming, because you just need to open up an OnlyFans page, charge $50 a photo, get $2 million, and then diss the fuck up here, away, because like that's your only option right now, really.
Well, she said she's not a teacher. That was just a rumor and all this other stuff. But I was like going, it just blew up. I'm just like going, well, I guess I don't get it. But
To me, it's amusing, but I don't get the explosion either. It's like, okay, it's something that it's just one of those phrases where people have thought it, or but just no one's ever said it, and it's like, oh yeah, like that makes sense.
Yeah. Hot talk. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, let's put a fork in this thing, huh?
Yeah,
Hey?
it's almost 12 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the stuff on all the chat and stuff. Are we going to be recording next week?
I can record next week.
You can record next week?
I can, yeah. I think all of us are back next week.
I
No,
can-
or
I
Matt.
can.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back.
I think
So
the only week
Thursday?
I'm out is the 13th through the 21st. Yeah. So
Well, I'm out. From
the next week. Yeah, you're out.
The following week, I'm out. I leave the 20th. So, but I'm gone for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
10 days or something like that. Whatever it is.
I figured it was going to be like kind of like this, where like 3 of us will be, it's on, but not all 4 of us for like a good while.
Yeah, and I can cover recording duties while you're gone, Jack.
Works for me.
All right.
I'm already being thrown out. That's great. Just kicked to the curb. Anyway,
well, at least I won't be frozen.
Yeah.
Again, I know we didn't talk about the debates, but I'm like going, how the fuck is this our only 2 choices? I can't.
Every 4 years is a shit sandwich.
I know, but this is the worst I think it's ever been. The worst. The absolute worst.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, seriously. I mean, this is the worst.
Well, whoever is in charge can just basically order the assassination of their opponents now.
Well,
so.
it's no. Chris is he's a low level Freemason, so that's probably why he's gone this week. He's meeting with Jeb Bush. Yes, So Matt, you missed out on that. Jack pulled the ultimate insult on Chris.
I caught part of that. I just popped on.
I just kept looking at him. I go, he looks like somebody today. I go, oh, you look like Jeb Bush.
I think it was the glasses that kind of.
It was the glasses.
It was the glasses and the way he was.
You really undercut Jeb. You really kind of. Anyway,
I didn't mean it personally, but anyway, it just. Anyway, that's all we got. We'll be back next week sometime.
I'm like, who are those patrons you got to thank?
We like to thank all our patrons, but at this time we're going to thank 4 patrons who have reached a certain level, and that's Eckhart, Rick McLaughlin, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, and Ed, the creepy poopy letter carrier. Thanks for what you do, and thanks for everyone who joined us in the chat. Randy, I can't believe you've retired and you didn't make it to the end of the show, but that's all we got. Hasta luego and goodbye.
Randy's the new retired guy?
Yeah.
I guess he is.
Yeah.
See ya.
Peace.
Peace.